Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us in another Innovate Her conversation. I've been so excited to speak with all of the speakers that will be a part of Innovate Her Summit. It has been just an incredible time of conversation, and I am so thrilled to have joining me in this conversation Dr. Caroline Leaf. We're going to have an incredible conversation. I will tell you more about her at Innovate Her Summit. So I'm hoping to see you there. Uh, Dr. Leaf, just to tell you a little bit about her, she is a renowned neuroscientist. That's very interesting. And I look forward to at some point you telling me your story about how this became your pathway. So thank you. Thank you. We're going to have a conversation around women and how you see us converging to shape the future. What do you hear? What do you sing about that? We're celebrating women of all kinds. There are women that have been on a journey of grief and loss, men as well. We've opened this up to men. And we're in many different ages and stages of life. And one of the things that I've just noticed is the difficulty sometimes that people have in turning the page. That's what I call it, turning the page, stepping into a new chapter of life. So let me just pause and say to everyone that's watching us, will you help me to welcome Dr. Caroline Leaf?
Thank you. Great to be with you. And I'm looking forward to the conference next week. It's just a week away.
Yes, it is. It's going to be incredible. And part of, as I prayed about any event that I host, it always begins with prayer. I'm asking God his why. Why am I doing this? Because I have zero interest in doing just another gathering. There, we can go to any gatherings all over the place. I try to be very intentional and have meaning to what I'm doing. And then after I understand his why, then I ask him his who. And your name just came right up because as I considered widows and how we can get stuck in our life, and I'm going to say we because I've been a widow for 9 years, and I've been able to find my next chapter and move forward in my life. But my testimony is that God walked me through my grief. Okay, and so I just want to ask you. I know we don't have a lot of time, but one of the questions that I wanted to ask you is, um, what would you say to individuals that are stuck somewhere in their lives and they're having difficulty overcoming challenges and moving into the next place?
That's such a great question. And I'm very sorry to hear that you lost your husband 9 years ago. And I'm so happy you've managed to walk through the grief and keep moving forward. I think one of the biggest things that we need to realize is that we're not our brain, we're not our body, we are our mind. Our mind is our spirit and soul, and that is where the power is. It's a superpower, and grief is one of those emotions. And I'm going to just bounce off, your particular example that can get us very stuck, and anything, it's one of those emotions that's grief, addiction, depression, anxiety. Those are words that aren't it's. They are responses that we have to adverse experiences in life. And they can accumulate and we can really feel stuck. But that feeling of stuckness, that experience of the grief, that experience of whatever it is that's causing the depression or anxiety or overwhelm or burnout, that is processed through the mind. I use the word mind collectively for spirit and soul. And mind is 99% of who we are. It's 99%. And it is very powerful and it drives the brain and the body. So my first point is that mind is all powerful. Mind is comprised of 3 levels, of which the spirit and the soul. And I'm going to go into this in detail next week at the conference so that you really understand this with simple examples, and scientific and simple examples. But if mind is 99% and it's all powerful, and mind, our conscious mind, which is limited, has access to our non-conscious mind, which is our spirit, which is all powerful because it's connected to the source of power. It's directly connected to Godness. I like to use the word Godness because it's bigger than just limiting God. So if we've got access to that kind of power, it's okay to grieve, but we've got access to the power to help us keep moving forward. And it's a realization of this, of the mind being more powerful than the brain and the body, that I want to stress, because the brain and the body give us such strong sensations that we very often can get very overwhelmed by them. And also when we get overwhelmed by grief and the sensations that grief, for example, will create inside of our brain and our body, because our brain and our body don't create, the mind creates in the brain and the body. When you have that, you can get stuck, and we can get stuck in the cycle of what we call the conscious mind and the brain and the body, and it's this loop that gets set up. And when we get stuck in that loop, it's very hard to feel empowered. It's very hard to feel hopeful. And so we need to be able to break free from that cycle and tap into the unconscious mind. And that starts with understanding how it works. It's understanding how to capture that thought and deconstruct it and tune into the intuition of your deep spiritual part of you. And that's a process and a skill. It's not going to come from listening to something. It's going to come from listening to something and applying it and learning it and developing it as a skill. So next week, what I will be teaching at the conference is this concept of how do we get unstuck? How do we get out of that loop between the conscious mind and the brain, which is not listening to the depths of the spirit, and that we have maybe bursts of it, but that keeps us stuck and not going forward. The other thing is that our spiritual is for us to recognize that this time on earth is just a drop in the ocean. And when you're immersed in grief or depression or anything that's a big response to a big thing in your life, it feels like that's everything, but it's not everything. It is an experience that will shape and mold you, and it's okay to cry, and it's okay to grieve, and it's okay to be depressed. The thing is not to stay there. The thing is to know how to embrace it, not push it away, but embrace it and process it and reconceptualize and move forward. And the second big thing, besides the fact that we have this power in our mind and we can learn how to tap into that non-conscious part that can give us the strength and resilience to move forward. The second thing is to realize that this isn't it. This is only part of the big thing. So that person we will see again. They still live, but in a different way. That there's a different relationship we have. There's a different, that situation that's happened to you, it's terrible, but it doesn't have to shape your future. You have the power. It's those kinds of things that we need to not just say, we need to know how to wire those in. And there's a whole time frame that we need to learn to be able to wire in, literally rewire the networks of our mind-brain-body connection, that we actually decide how we want that wiring to be, because that's how we then drive, whatever we wire into the mind-brain-body network, of which the mind is 99%, whatever we wire in, that's what drives us. So if we say, I can't go on, this grief has broken me, the situation has broken me, my depression has got me, if we do that often enough, we get stuck in that loop of the conscious mind, and we wire in a toxic pathway, and that grows and gets energy, and we get stuck there. But if we can stand back and we can break that stuckness, and we can rewind, we can bring in the truth, and we can change that, and we can still cry and still be sad, like you have with your obviously you still grieve for your husband, but you have also managed to take that and realize that you can move forward, and that there's a whole growth process. So those steps of how to do that, we'll definitely discuss in depth next week.
Thank you so much for such an incredible response to that. One of the things I did after my husband passed away, I mean, the morticians hadn't even come to get him. I was weeping, and I said to the Lord, He's gone, and I'm still here. Show me your why. And that helped me, and I grieved and I did all of that. And there's longing and there's the feeling of loss, but it does not overwhelm us, right? We're able to keep moving and be very, very productive in our lives. The other thing we're going to be talking about, because there will be people there that are widows or widowers, but then there's a large segment of attendees that are trying to tap into that place of innovation. This is why we call it Innovate Summit, because I believe that God is there's no creator that is more incredible than him. So when we have these toxic emotions, how do you see that impacting this capacity to tap into innovation?
When we get stuck in toxic emotions, and we try very often what we do is we do one of two things. We just get stuck in them like a sinking sand, and we just sink, or we suppress them and pretend they aren't there. But emotions are alive and living signals that are giving us information. So the only thing you can do is see them as information and data, and you face them full on. And it's okay to be upset and angry and cry. And for example, when you grieve and you cry tears, when you when you cry tears of grief, you actually release hormones out of your body that will help you with your healing. But if you keep the tears in and you keep the stuff suppressed, you upset the whole biochemistry of your brain and your body, and that keeps you stuck in that loop. So, I mean, there's a reason for crying, there's a reason for speaking, there's a reason for facing our issues. So, when we've got those toxic emotions, it's not, oh my gosh, I'm not supposed to have those, I'm a big bad sinner. No, you're just being a human. Those emotions aren't a big sin, those are information, they data, they're telling you something. So what is the emotion? You face it full on. I'm going to gather awareness of this. I'm going to, what is the emotion? Where am I feeling it? What's the intensity? Where do I feel this in my body? How is it affecting my behaviors and my perspectives? You become at this very objectively. And when you do that, you basically start bringing the network, you break down the network that's keeping you stuck. So by facing it, and embracing it and processing it and reconceptualizing it, you weaken the network and help yourself to build forward. Now, it doesn't mean that you forget what happened. It doesn't mean that that toxic emotion lives in isolation. That toxic emotion is attached to something that's going on in your life or has been going on and you've suppressed it. It doesn't mean it's going to go away. Every story of our life stays with us forever. But what we can do is we can change what that looks like. We can change the intensity, the impact, the size. So if it's a huge, big thing and it's all you're focusing on, you can shrink it, take the power out. So you'll still remember this happened to me. This is how I was. This was my reaction. But instead of it being big and dominating, and you immersed in it, it now becomes just part of your story, and you recreate a new vision which becomes a new network for how you move forward. But that takes time. I've shown in my research as a neuroscientist, those kinds of changes require a daily focus, a daily capturing and rewiring renewing the mind, rewiring of the thought networks, and a daily process over at least 63 days. It takes about 9 weeks to rewire a network, to make a change in our life. So people do it once or twice and then they fall back and then they think, what's wrong with me? Nothing's wrong with you. You just didn't know how to do it, and you've got to do it for long enough. So that's also what I will be covering in depth next week, is this time frame of making these changes, dealing with these toxic thoughts, dealing with these things that make us feel stuck.
Thank you so much. And as we wrap up our time together, what do you want to say to those that are coming? Our theme is women converging to shape the future. It's Innovate Her Summit. This is an inaugural event. And again, our theme is women converging across generations to shape the future. What do you want to leave us with?
We can need each other. As we connect, we enhance each other. There's something you can do that no one else can do. So therefore, when you come together, that togetherness creates such a strong release of your ability to tap into your wisdom. And I don't know if you're getting what I'm saying. This is really
I
powerful.
do.
Together, that is how you get access to the depths of your wisdom and the depths of your spiritual non-conscious part of you. And that's the part of you that has all the answers. So we need each other in order to release the power within.
Wow, wow, wow. I can't wait to hear the rest of the story, as they say. This is going to be so incredible. We carry, I think, more toxicity than we recognize. Sometimes we may or may not even be aware of how or when we pick that up because it seems to embed itself within us and becomes a part of our normal. And we're trying to excel in life, and we're trying to do great things, right? They that know their God shall be strong and do great exploits. We want to do those things, but we don't understand that some part of us that's in our emotional personhood is fractured, and that's where that limitation is coming from. Did I say that right?
You did really well. But well there.
Well, thank you so much. I know you are so, so busy, and I am just grateful that we were able to spend this time together. I look forward to being with you in the room at Innovate Her Summit. I look forward to hearing what you have prepared for us, and I am convinced that it's going to catapult all of us that are willing to do this hard work. It's going to catapult us into the next place that God has for us. And so, thank you so much again to everyone that's listening. Dr. Caroline Leaf will be one of our speakers at the InnovateHer Summit, May 15th through the 17th at and in Corinth, Texas, at the Global Sphere Center. I'm looking forward to seeing all of you there. Dr. Leaf, thank you so very much.
My pleasure. Thank you, everyone. Looking forward to seeing you next week.
Yes, yes. Have a great evening.
You too. Thanks so much. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
The world is radically shifting, and women are rising at rapid pace to meet the moment. Across generations, across industries, and across the world, God is calling women to lead, build, and expand their capacity like never before. That's why I want you to be at InnovateHer Summit, May 15th through 17th at Global Spheres Center in Corinth, Texas. I'm Dr. Venner, Alston, and I'm inviting you to this powerful 3-day gathering designed to equip, activate, and empower women in ministry, leadership, and influence. Women in the Bible moved with boldness and faith, answering God's call with courage and stepping fully into their divine assignments. Miriam led a nation in worship and victory. Hannah's prayers birthed a prophetic movement. Jael became a cunning warrior even though she was at home. Now it's our turn. Innovate Her is the event to propel you forward into your purpose with powerful keynote messages where you'll be equipped by trailblazing voices who will impart wisdom, fresh strategies, and prophetic insight. Joining me will be Apostle Chuck Pierce, Dr. Carolyn Leaf, Dr. Barbie Breathitt, Jacqueline Carr, and many more. From keynotes to breakout sessions designed just for you, we're empowering women of all walks of life. Of particular focus is widows. God is mobilizing widows as an incredible army filled with power, fire, and glory. Whether you're a widow stepping into a new chapter, a single woman finding her voice, or a leader expanding your reach, there's a place for you here. Men, we've also prepared 2 special breakout sessions for you. We know you have women of power in your life, and we've got the tools you need to support and encourage them. Let's not forget about the Innovate Her Gala, Esther's Banquet, a night of sisterhood, elevation, coronation, and celebration. Come dressed in all white and enjoy a wonderful dinner with a powerful network of women.
Thanks to our generous sponsors and donors, registration is now completely free, including the Esther's Gala.
But don't wait. Register now at innovatesummit.org/her.
Widows, this event is our chance to honor you. Not only is your registration free, but you will be honored in special ways throughout.
It's time to turn the page on grief and sorrow and step into your next chapter. Women of every generation, this is your moment. Let's converge. Let's build. Let's innovate. I can't wait to see you there. Register now at innovatesummit.org/her.